Hey everybody, it's Dr. Curry. Um, I'm sorry that I'm so tired, but I wanted to at least shoot a video to talk about my experiences with distance education. I hate the fact that we're a week into class and I haven't been physically um, able to participate. Today's the first day that I've gotten on the computer. I've worked for about 3 hours just trying to catch up with literally about 400 emails that I've gotten this week. Um, and it's pretty exhausting for me. As soon as I shoot this video and post it up and get it up for you in class, I promise you I'm going back to bed. I appreciate the emails and the texts and the well wishes from everybody. There's nothing to be worried about. You don't have to worry about if I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. Um, without getting into detail that you don't really need to know. Uh, I just happened to catch two very serious stomach bacteria, or I should say intestinal bacterias, at the same time, both of which are trying to fight and figure out who wants to make me feel the worst. Uh, I was in the hospital last Saturday. Today's Friday. I went for a follow-up with my doctor, my primary care physician today. Uh, I am still highly contagious. Like my family puts food on a little table by my bedroom here, and then they go away and we're Cloroxing anything I touch, and it's a thing. I was okay. It freaked me out a little bit when they diagnosed me when I was in the emergency room, when they put the biohazard signs on the door. That's when you start freaking out a little bit. But I'm okay. There's people who are in much worse situations than I am. I'm on some pretty gnarly meds though that wipe me out. And that's why if I keep looking at my watch, it's coming up on time to take meds. And once I take those, there'll be no way to work anymore tonight. Um, but I wanted to give you my history with distance education. Um, I'm older than y'all. Uh, sorry, talking makes me tired. Um, I never heard of distance education ever growing up in high school. Uh, I think I might have heard of a correspondence course, one where they sent you a packet and you just did some worksheets and sent it back. Um, but I never took one. Uh, I graduated, I'm only 56 years old. I graduated high school in 1987. So distance education as we know it has happened really in my lifetime. Um, my undergraduate degree was all fully face to face. My master's degree was also all fully face to face, except halfway through my master's program. Now, some of you in this class are master's students. So I want you to think about it, put yourself in my situation. Half a year into my master's program, or right before, as I was finishing my first year, the governor of Utah then, I was at Utah State University. The governor of Utah, Michael Levitt, created a grant called the HETI grants, HETI, Higher Education Technology Initiative Grants. And Utah State University's English department got one. And I was tapped to design and teach the first fully online class ever in the state of Utah. Now, they had to have me do it. You ask yourself, why a graduate student? Because none of the faculty had taught freshman composition in forever, and that's what they were going to do. There was another faculty member, my major professor, his name was David Haley. He was the instructor of record, but he'd never taught freshman composition there. So I was the subject matter expert. I was the instructional designer, even though I was getting a master's in the theory and practice of writing. I was the webmaster. This is literally before you could put an inline image into a web browser. Uh, I mean, there was, you think about what we know about online education right now. None of that existed. Nobody knew how to teach a course online. We used an email client called Novell Groupwise. And so all we knew to do is they asked me, do you know how to do HTML, which is the markup language that's the base of all markup languages for web browsers? Do you know how to do HTML? And I said, no. And they said, you need to know by Monday. I was like, okay. Um, and then all we knew to do was I would, post up the prompts. There was no such thing as discussion boards. I mean, none of this existed. And I would post up prompts on the web page, and then they would respond to a group email address. I'll get hundreds and hundreds of emails a day as this was a freshman class. And they were all excited to be the first ones ever. I remember distinctly the day that Netscape, some of you have never even heard of that. It was early web browser. I remember when Netscape 2.0 was released and it supported inline images. And I remember when my two buddies, Chris Oakleberry and Adam Zamora, and I got our first inline image to appear in a web browser, and it was the Novell Groupwise logo. And when we made that picture show up on a web page, we were running around the lab high-fiving. It was black magic. We couldn't believe it. But that gave us different opportunities. That led to we taught the first class online, then the English department said, "Well, wait a minute, what about uh if you can teach one class online, can we teach 6 classes online?" Okay. So the next semester I didn't teach them all, but we taught 6, but I had to do the web pages for them all. And Adam, Chris, and I working furiously. Adam was the lab manager, but Chris was the systems administrator for the English department, and I was the teacher. And we would sit every day, and I'd be like, I need something to do this, right? One of the things was discussion boards because email wasn't sustainable. And they found an early email called Kaylee. I'm not even going to try to spell it because it's some Gaelic word that means gathering. But we were able to embed that in a web page, and we had our first discussion board. And from there, um, we kind of formed our own little unofficial research group. We called ourselves 3GB, Three Guys in a Basement. And we literally developed one of the very first learning management systems. You know, today we're using Moodle. We're transitioning to Canvas. But we were meeting with the people from Blackboard and WebCT, which were the two big ones, who were both out of universities. And we were comparing notes on what can yours do, what can yours do. And I know this sounds like I'm just making this crap up because nobody lives through these times, but I did. But I designed the first assignment Dropbox ever in a learning management system, as well as the first integrated grade book. I was the one that said we have to have these things. It needs to do this. It needs to look like this. And Chris and Adam did the programming behind it and made it work. They did everything on Microsoft technologies. Microsoft did a case study on us. They published a story about us on Microsoft's website. I wrote my master's thesis on that first semester teaching, which you'll read in this distance ed class, authority in the online classroom, who has it and how they get it, because that was the question. What happens if we go online? What happens to the teacher's authority? If I walk into a classroom and I go up to the front and I start talking, everybody knows I'm in charge. Well, I can't do that in an online classroom. 6 classes became 12, 12 became 20. And that's like, wait, we can't build all of these by static web pages. And that's how the learning management system idea was developed. So I've lived through this stuff. Um, I've published research on it. Some of it you'll read, some of it you won't. That's okay. I've helped a lot of other people research on it. But my experiences with distance ed have been, and I don't like tooting my own horn about stuff like this because there's a lot of smarter people than me, but my experience with distance education, one of my kids asked me, one of my children asked me once, Dad, what do you research? Have you ever done anything that, was of significance or whatever? And this was during COVID. And I said, yeah, nobody in this world would be going to school right now if it wasn't for me. Now, that's a little bit of a bluster for my child. But the reality is that the research I did while I was in the same spot where you are right now, all of that was while I was a graduate student, a master's student, and a doctoral student. I did all of that. I quit really researching distance education when I graduated because I moved on to other things. I've still published some in it, but that's my history with distance education. I've known all the players for years because we were all swimming in the muck together. But I tell you that story for a different reason. Don't you dare discount yourself as you go through your studies, thinking that your ideas might not have value or worth. Because I promise you, you're better students than I was, and that you're a lot smarter and better thinkers than I was. All I did was keep asking questions. So don't ever stop asking questions. Look at what's missing and try to figure out how to answer that question. That's how you get through graduate school. The other thing I'll say is don't make it about you. I don't tell these stories. The only time I ever tell these stories ever is for this class because it's not important. Don't make this stuff about you and how to improve your career. Always focus on the others. Your career will come. So whether you're working as an instructional designer and you're doing all of the work for a subject matter expert who's going to get all the credit, whether you're a graduate assistant, this better not happen in our program. And if it does, you let me know. But whether you're a graduate assistant who a faculty member is taking all the credit for your work, I say that because, as I said, Chris Adam and I did all that work. And then all the faculty who worked with us, who were just letting us do all the work, they published it all and got all the credit. And our names were never mentioned. So I'm very particular about that. If anybody ever helps me on anything, their name will be on it. But, that's my history with distance education. To be honest with you, now I just kind of sit back and I guess I'm getting to that age where I look at it and I'm like, holy smokes. I remember when we were hunting dinosaurs and rubbing sticks together to make fire. And look at what we're doing now. So I hope that this has been even remotely interesting to you. I guess the thing that I have most to look forward to is the fact that I know Andrew Egbert is going to love these stories because I'm pretty sure he's the president of my fan club. And Josh Bishop better be paying attention because I expect big things out of him. I'm just saying. Uh, Shayla keeps me grounded as my GA. Um, you know, there's so many of you in this class. I really appreciate the well wishes. Y'all have made me feel good. Um, at any rate, again, looking at my time here, it's time for me to take my medication. But I want to say thank you again. Uh, uh, I'm trying to listen to your videos. I'll try to comment on them. The doctor told me today I've got at least another week of feeling like this. More than likely, Kathy will post for me this next week, and I'm hoping that after next week, my energy level will be up and I'll be able to get in and really participate. So feel free to email me if you need me. I'm going to try to spend a little bit of time answering some email every day. I know I won't get to them all. If it's course related, like a technical thing or how do you do this, please just go directly to Kathy. Please do not make appointments with me. I'm not available this next week. Okay. But thank you. Um, I look forward to this class. I look forward to feeling better so I can participate with you like my normal self. Um, and you know what? I will see you guys all online, which we couldn't do when I was in your shoes. I was the one trying to figure out how to make it happen. So, bye.